Hello friends, welcome back to my YouTube channel. In today's video, we are going to touch base on one of the important concept called as Terraform providers. But before we begin with today's video, if you are new to this channel, I basically share my experience on DevOps tools like Git, Ansible, Terraform, Jenkins, and also I share the experience of how to clear your cloud certifications and the path to learn those. So kindly do take some time and watch my playlist. And if you like it, do share with your friends and do not forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel. So without any delay, let's move to today's video. So today's video, we are going to talk about what is API. Terraform providers, the list of providers by the Terraform. And lastly, we are going to create our first AWS EC2 instance using Terraform. So let's get started. So friends, before we take a deep dive on what are Terraform providers, let's first understand what is an API. An API stands for Application Programming Interface. API architecture is nothing but client and server. So what is the client? The application sending a request is called as a client. The application sending a response is called as a server. Let me make you understand in a very simple form. For an example, if you go to an hotel as a customer, now you want to eat a food. You do not have direct access to the kitchen. For that, you have a person called as an waiter, which comes to your desk, takes an order, which is nothing but you are making an request to him. And the waiter will then take that an order and will give it to the chef in the kitchen, who will then prepare that order for you. Once the order is ready, the chef will then give that order to the waiter. In that case, the chef is basically sending a response for the request which you have made. And finally, the waiter will bring that order to your table and will serve you. So in this case, you waiter is nothing but an API which takes a request from a customer, which is nothing but a client, takes that request, gives to the chef, which is in a kitchen, which is nothing but our server, which will then prepare that order and send a response or send a response that to a waiter, and then waiter finally brings that to your table. So in this whole architecture, you are acting as a client and chef is acting as a server. And finally, between these two, our waiter is an API, which is taking a request from you and finally delivering you the response. I hope you got a better understanding of what is an API. Now, let's learn what is Terraform Provider. Terraform providers help you to interact with various cloud providers, SaaS providers, and other APIs. That's the reason I wanted you to understand what is an API before we take a depth step into the Terraform providers. These providers are specified in the Terraform configuration code or a configuration files with an extension .tf. Remember that whatever code you're writing in the Terraform, it will have an extension of .tf. They tell Terraform, providers tell Terraform which services it wants to interact with in order to create, update, and delete various resources. Now, let's understand the definition given on the HashiCorp website. As per HashiCorp website, providers are the logical abstraction of an upstream API which are responsible for understanding the API interactions and exposing the resources. Resources in this case can be your databases, servers, which can be an application server or a web server. Let's look at the diagram which I am sharing on the screen. So as a user, you have written an infrastructure as a code in a Terraform. Remember in our previous video, we have discussed what are the stages or what are the stages or the phases of Terraform workflow: init, plan, apply. If you haven't gone through that video, I would request you to go through that video, and also I will share the link of that video in this video description. So once you have written a code, you need to initialize it, then see what initialize it, plan it. In the plan phase, it will show you whatever you have declared. This is how it's going to be look like, and finally it's going to apply it. When you click Terraform apply, or when you type a command call as a Terraform apply, it will basically make an API connection to the various cloud providers. Say in your code you have written an AWS instance to be created, so it will make an API call to the Amazon Web Service saying that I need an EC2 instance to be created, and this is the configuration. And finally you have provisioned that a request, which means you have created a resource which can be a database or a server. Do not worry, we are going to see a very simple example where we will be basically creating the Amazon EC2 instance using a Terraform code. But this is how the provider helps you to create the resources, the different kind of resources, which can be database, server, through an API call to the cloud provider or a SaaS provider or any other API provider. Let's now go through what are the providers provided by the Terraform. So friends, on a Google, you just need to type Terraform providers. The moment you type to a Terraform providers, it takes you to this page. And remember, I told you what is the HashiCorp provider definition. So providers are the logical abstraction of upstream API. They are responsible for understanding API interactions and exposing the resources. So the Terraform support lot of cloud providers which are available in the market: AWS, Azure, GCP, Kubernetes, Alibaba Cloud, Oracle Cloud Infrastructure. There are a lot of others supported by the Terraform. But in our session, we are going to focus more on AWS. So the moment I click on AWS, you see that it helps you to create various resources like EC2, Lambda, EKS, ECS, VPC, S3, RDS, DynamoDB, and more. This provider is maintained internally by the HashiCorp AWS provider team. Now, let's go back to understand how you will create the first AWS EC2 instance using Terraform. You do not need to be worried. Everything is available on HashiCorp website. All you need to is understand and then replicate that by writing a Terraform code. So let's click on documentation. The moment you click on the documentation, it gives you an example of what code you need to write in your configuration file or a Terraform configuration code to call a provider AWS. And if you are using a Terraform version 0.13 or later, this is how you need to write a code. If you see, we are configuring here something called as AWS, and the region for that is US East 1. What are we creating here? We are creating a VPC, a resource AWS VPC, and the name of that resource is an example. Remember, you need to be very much cautious about this uh, uh, nomenclature while defining the resource, because based on that it will create your this. If you are using a Terraform version later than I would say earlier than 0.13, but you are on 0.12 or earlier, then this is the code of writing the AWS provider. Let's little scroll down and you will see. Now, in order to create the AWS instance, remember we need certain things, right? So if, say for an example, I want to create an instance, I want to launch an instance. So if I go to the AWS management console, you see I need a name. I need an operating system. What kind of instance type would it be, right? What would be the AME ID? Okay, whether I need a TC2 micro, whether I need a TC2 nano, that all things you need to specify. If you don't specify, it will take a default value, which this case is TC2 micro. Then you need something called as a key pair. And finally, you need a security group. So once you have defined all these, it will basically then launch your instance. So all this stuff we are going to do in today's video by writing a simple Terraform code to create an EC2 instance. I hope you got an understanding what I'm talking about. So without any delay, so friends, I am on my AWS management console screen. If you haven't seen my previous video where I have uh, showed how to create the AWS account and how to create your first AWS EC2 instance, kindly go back and check my playlist where I have explained in a detailed manner of how to create your first AWS account and your AWS EC2 instance. So in our previous video, I have already showed how to install the Terraform. If you haven't watched that video, don't worry. I'm going to paste that in the video description link so that it becomes easier for you to learn as how to install the Terraform on AWS EC2 instance. So in my current thing, I have already created an instance called as my Terraform, and I have already installed the Terraform on it. Let me clean the screen, and if you type here Terraform -v, you see I have already installed a version of Terraform 1.3.7. So before we take on into how to write the first configuration file of creating your first AWS EC2 instance, let me take a step back where I'm going to create one user, which I'm going to use that because I do not want an root user to be used. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the AWS management console, click on services. Okay, and if I want, I can click on all services, or I can just search here IAM. So once I click on IAM, the window gets open. And on the left side, you will see an IAM management console where it helps you to create user groups, users, roles, policies, and couple of other things. So let's first create a user called as demo Terraform. Demo Terraform. Okay, I'll create next. Okay, I want to attach a policy it or to it because I want that user to help in creating the EC2 instance. So what I'm going to do is search here EC2 full access. So this way, now the user has an ability to log into AWS Management Console and create an EC2 instance because I've given the full access. Now, let's give it as a tag called as demo developer. Okay, give it as a demo. Let me give it as a demo. And the environment which I'm creating is has developer, whatever, and give that. Now I have created a user. Remember, in our code, we need the access key. Okay, you don't need to worry anything. The whole code is available on HashiCorp site. But here in this video, I'm going to execute that as a demo. So you need an access key and you need a secret key. So now for that, we are going to basically create an access key for the user called as demo Terraform. I'm going to click here, create an access key. Local code, you plan to use this access key to enable the code in a local development environment to access your AWS account. Okay, I understand the implications. Create next, and if you want, you can give a description to that key. Let's keep it as demo Terraform. Now I have clicked on this. If you see, it has generated an access key and a secret key. Now just download this file. Let me just download here. Downloaded the file. Let's open it. If you see, it has an access ID and it has an secret access key. So we are going to use this in our demo. So now we are all set to write our first configuration file or a Terraform configuration code for creating the. So friends, until now, we have created the demo underscore Terraform user. We have also created an access key, the secret key. Now let's write our first program of how to create a AWS EC2 instance. So if you go to this document website, we have something called as a Terraform required providers. So here you are basically saying what is the source, which is HashiCorp-AWS, from where the API call will be made to the AWS, and which version of you want the provider, which is 5.0. And then we are going to write here provider AWS region. And now if you scroll down this document, you will see something called as a AWS instance, where we will be specifying the resource, which in our case is AWS EC2 instance. Make sure the name of the resource is correct, because based on that only the HashiCorp recognizes that this is AWS is in a resource, and now I need to make an API call to AWS to create this resource. And then we are going to put an AMI instance type and the tag for that. So I have already created my main.pf. So if you see here, I have already copied that and I have put here access key and the secret key. And the reason where I am in this case, I am in Ohio, so I will be giving a region USES2, which I've given here. Then I am giving my ID, which I can get it from when I go to EC2 dashboard, click on the launch instance. At that time, it will basically give you the AMI and the instance type. That's how you can get the AMI form. So let it just get loaded. Okay, it gives you the name and the tag, which we have put definitely. So here I want to create an AMI for Amazon Linux. If you need Macintosh, you can do it here. Ubuntu, you can give it, but I just need an Amazon Linux instance. So from here, I've got my AMI and I am typed here this. Let's now validate this. So there is a command called as Terraform validate. If there is any syntax error, it will basically populate that. So don't worry from that perspective. It gives now success. So for an example, let's see. Let's make a slight modification. Okay. What I'm doing is I'm typing, I'm going here, doing like this. Let's see if it works. See, it started giving an error. So we need to be very, very cautious about the kind of intention of our curly brackets and how to do it. So we have done that. Now again, validate it. Now it will say success. Right? Okay. Now let's initialize it. That's our first goal. Initializing the backend, and here it gives everything. The configuration is valid, everything is valid. Now once before I make a change, let me type here it says Terraform has been initialized successfully. Now let's clear the screen, and now let's type our favorite command, Terraform plan. That's where it's going to show you what exactly Terraform is going to do. And if you see, it gives everything. So if you scroll, it says, I'm going to create an instance. It says here, create an instance, demo EC2 Terraform, the name of the instance which I have given, and it has a tag called as Terraform demo underscore EC2. And then it will automatically take all the default values for security groups and everything. So now let's type our favorite command, apply. The moment we type apply, it will basically ask for a prompt. Let's wait just for 1 or 2 seconds. And it says, are you okay to go ahead with execution of this plan? And the moment we type yes, it starts creating the instance. Just wait for a few seconds. You will see now it's creating an instance. Let's go to our EC2 dashboard and see what is going on. Okay, you see here, I have created the Terraform demo EC2 instance, which is in the pending state. Okay, that's how Terraform helps us to create the instance. And you can reuse this code again and again for your development environment, for UAT, SIT, production. We need to be cautious, which we will be doing ahead. Don't worry, but this how the Terraform does. Now, if you see, it has something called as a Terraform state file. When we open this Terraform Terraform .ef state, you will see that it has the updated status of the instance which you have created. It has everything, the tag, the security group, the IP address, the public IP address, subnet, VPC security group IDs, everything it has. So that's how the Terraform maintains everything. Now, just let's make a small change. What I'm going to do is I'm going to change the name here. Is instead of demo, I'm just going to do, let's see what happens now. Terraform plan. Okay, now we have Terraform demo EC2, right? I'm going to just change that to the, let me delete, this is something, the old one I have kept. Okay, let me change the name. Okay, let me quickly change the name here. Terraform underscore one. Okay, now I'm going to type plan and you will see some magic happening here. So if you see, it has already created the instance. Only what it is saying that you're changing a tag name. That is, you're changing the name of your EC2 instance, but everything remains the same. The AMI ID, the instance type, security groups, everything remains the same. Now let's type Terraform apply. It will ask, are you okay to go ahead? Yes. Now let's go to our instance and see what is that. See, the name has now changed to Terraform EC21. That's the beauty of Terraform. It helps you to modify. And let's go. If you see, it has created a backup file. So that's how the Terraform creates a backup file for each state. What you have, it keeps appending it and you will have the latest. So tomorrow, if you want to roll back, you can easily roll back. That's not an issue. Let's see here. So let's see the difference between these two files. Terraform.pf state, terraform.pf.backup. You see, there is a difference. That's how the Terraform maintains the state of your resource. Now, let's just destroy this. So the command is terraform destroy. You need to give target, okay? If you want to destroy any specific. Now, in this case, the name of my resource is demo.ec2. Remember, that's what we have given the instance name. I'll copy, paste. Let me put some and see what it is. But if you want to destroy, you can just type terraform destroy. But if you want to destroy a specific resource, that's where you use target. Okay. Target equals to resource.name. That what was what? Okay, target AWS underscore instance dot, and our name was this demo, and it is now destroying that. So that's the command we use. We need to use target equals to resource, which is AWS underscore instance, and then the name of the resource, which is our resource name, which we have given, and type yes. Now the destroy has been cancelled. We really want to destroy the resources. What happened? Okay, refreshing. Yes. Yes. See, it is deleting the instance. So if you go here, refresh it, see it is shutting down. Lab still destroying. Shutting down. Okay, taking little time more. And now it is terminated. So if you see, the resource is destroyed. Now, if you go to Terraform state, it doesn't has anything because we have destroyed the instance. That's the beauty of Terraform. I hope you got an understanding of how the providers help us to create the resources for Google Cloud, for AWS, Azure, and a couple of other providers. How does Terraform help us? In the upcoming videos, we will be using the variables, we will be using the modules, and we'll take a more depth of understanding how to use tfvars file also. So until then, take care. Bye bye. And do not forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel.